One of the biggest questions and most frequent questions that I get asked is, my life is so busy, I'm juggling so many things in my life, how do I fit spiritual wisdom into my life? My life seems to be exceptionally busy. I have so many priorities: work, family, children, finances, home. Where do I have time to do this? How do I do this? And the question is based on a perception that spirituality takes even more time out of my busy schedule. How do I fill spirituality in my life? Can anyone relate with that? Having a very busy life? Who feels they're juggling too many things in their life? Anyone feels like that? Too many priorities? And when we have so many priorities in our life, one thing that we're very clear on is all of these things take my peace away from me. I don't feel peaceful. I know I have all of these commitments. I know I have so many things to do, but peace seems to be something that's missing in my life. And a question that I would ask is, why not just leave it all behind? Why not just become a monk? You have that choice. You can leave all these things behind. When I say that option, how does it feel? Feels difficult, right? But I have commitments. I have so many things. I can't just leave things behind. I have responsibilities. What would happen? And even if I didn't have any commitments, I'm not sure I want to leave the world behind. I quite like being able to every now and then enjoy some pleasures, some nice food. Every now and then you go out, wear some nice clothes, drive a nice car. Surely I shouldn't have to leave all these things behind. Is that right? Actually, it feels quite good. Isn't there a hybrid approach? There must be a way to merge the two, right? So, very few of us want to leave everything behind. No one wants to go and become a monk. Most of us want to live our lives and have the pleasures, travel, enjoy good foods, enjoy the company of our friends and family. So is there a way to achieve this? That's what I want us to explore today. Now, I want you to think about, what moment in your life have you felt completely at peace at? Take a moment to think about it. Have a think. Which moment in our life can I say I was totally at peace? What would be interesting is for those who say, I'm not sure I've ever had that moment in my life. My life has always felt busy. What time in your life have you felt so much at peace, not because everything was going well, but because you were at peace? That's a slightly different question. We might even struggle to answer the first one. Have I ever known some sort of deep peace? And if I did, it was probably because there was a moment in my life when everything was going well. Have you ever known true peace despite what was going on around you? Because you knew peace. I don't think most of us live that kind of life. I think most of us are living what I like to call the emotional roller coaster. You feel happy when you feel that things are going well in your life, but it doesn't take very much for your emotions to go tumbling back down again, right? It doesn't take much. I'm sometimes surprised myself. I thought I was going to have a great day, and this tiny little thing all of a sudden has just stolen my peace. What's going on? I call that the emotional roller coaster. Like, you don't know where that roller coaster is going to go next. Think about it. When you wake up in the morning, can you say for certainty, today is going to be peaceful? Maybe if you're sitting in a nice holiday location, but in your day-to-day life, you actually don't know what emotions you're going to go through that day. Maybe if nobody bothers you that day and you say, I have no meetings, I have no appointments, I'm not meeting anyone, maybe I might have a good day. But then you open the cupboard and you realize that the sugar has run out. And then all of a sudden you said, oh, I told him he was meant to buy the sugar. I put it on the list. And all of a sudden your emotions are gone again. Such small things. Every day is an emotional roller coaster. So is there a balance? Is there a way to find peace within the chaos of life? The way to do this is to find out what we know about ourselves. So I'm going to ask you some very simple questions. How many hands do you have? Feel free to shout out. 2. How many fingers do you have? 10 fingers. How many feet do you have? 2. How many eyes do you have? 2. How many noses do you have? 1. How many minds do you have? 1 mind? Many? Any more? Isn't this interesting? We think we know ourselves, but all you know is what is external. As soon as you ask a very simple question like, how many minds do I have? You get a variety of answers. We don't actually know much about our minds. I find that quite funny. And this is not a new problem. Our ancestors have known about this problem for thousands of years. That we know ourselves on the outsides, but inside it's a bit more complicated. There's a beautiful and ancient analogy that talks about this, and I want to introduce that to you today. It comes from old Indian scriptures. There's a scripture called the Mundaka Upanishad. And in that, there's a very beautiful explanation of life like a tree with 2 birds. There's a tree and it has 2 birds on it. One bird is at the lower end of the tree. And this bird is very distracted. It's always hopping around. It's getting excited one minute and then it finds something else to get it excited about. And it always just seems to be very, very distracted. It's enjoying the flowers on the tree. It's enjoying the sights and the sounds. It's enjoying all the pleasures of the tree. But then there's a second bird. And that second bird is slightly higher up on the tree. And he doesn't seem to move very much. He's just still, not distracted by what's going on around him. And the lower bird, every now and then, looks up and says, I'd really like to be like that bird up there. And then very quickly he gets distracted by something else. And then he's hopping around again. What this is beautifully expressing, and remember these are thousands of year old teachings. What this is beautifully teaching us is that in life, there are 2 ways to live. There is one where we're constantly distracted, like the lower bird, suffering, chasing pleasures, longing for something more, never being satisfied by what you have. That's the lower bird. But then there's the higher bird. And the higher bird is just sitting in pure awareness. Nothing phases him. And I think many of us would like that in our life. But we don't know, how do we get there? We have the thought every now and then, oh, yeah, these spiritual people, they look like they have it all sorted out. And then the phone rings and there's something that's going to steal your attention again. We don't know how to become one of those higher birds, but we know that that's an aspiration that we have in our life. We do want pleasures in life, but we want them without pain. Does that make sense? We want pleasures in our life, but we don't want the pain that's associated with it. How do you do that? That's something we don't know. So let's explore, how do you make that shift? With the teachings of Guru Nanak, we see some clarity being offered on this situation. Guru Nanak comes along, looks at these beautiful ancient teachings, and he says there's something missing in this formula. Guru Nanak Dev Ji within Guru Granth Sahib Ji constantly gives us reminders, things that human society has already known, ideas that were already there. But he says, but people haven't got it yet. How do we allow them to understand it even deeper? Within the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, which is the sacred text for the Sikh tradition, there are multiple writers, multiple grand masters of spirituality. And within the Sikh tradition, Guru Nanak was the first Guru, and then he had a successor and another successor. And the following successors also wrote in some of these teachings. So I want to cover this exact same analogy which appears in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And it is written by the third Guru, Guru Amar Daas Ji. For those of you who have Gurbani on your phones, feel free to open your phones and tag along. The third Guru says something interesting. Nanak tarvar ek fal, doi pankheru aaye. O Nanak, all the Gurus used Nanak as their pen name to say that we are continuing this philosophy started by Guru Nanak to help people understand ancient higher wisdom in a very easy to understand way. He says, Nanak tarvar ek fal. There is one tree with one fruit. Doe pankheru aaye. And there are two birds on this tree. So what has he done? He's introduced the tree, he's introduced the two birds, but he said there's one fruit on that tree. What we can start to do is start to now take this analogy and put it into our own lives. What if we said that the tree is our body and the two birds are the two states of minds that we have? But there is a fruit. What is that fruit? That doesn't appear in the previous Upanishads. Guruji adds a twist to this analogy. Avat jaat na disai na par pankhitaye. These birds seem to be flightless birds. They don't have any wings. They never go. They're always there. They don't fly to somewhere else. That's how you know that Guru is talking about you. And these two states of minds are always an option for you. You have both of them. These birds have no wings. They're both there. You have two minds within this one body. Bahu rangi ras po gaya, shabad rahe nirban. What are the two birds doing? One bird is enamored and enjoying all the pleasures. Bahu rangi ras po gaya. There's one that's enjoying all the colors and sights and sounds of the tree. Shabad rahe nirban. But one is completely detached and he is connected with something called the word, the wisdom, the Shabad. Har ras fal rate nanaka karam sacha nisan. One bird is enamored, enjoying all the pleasures, while the other, through divine wisdom, this Shabad, this higher wisdom, is in nirvana, is detached. O Nanak, those blessed with the mark of truth enjoy the juice from the divine fruit. So what is he doing? He's saying that there is a way of not being distracted. You have to take the fruit of wisdom and enjoy that fruit. What are we doing? We're enjoying everything else, all the pleasures, running after the tastes and pleasures of life. But there's a bird who's in the same tree. And he says, I only need to gain my pleasure from one place. And he gains his pleasure from higher wisdom. He's drinking the juice from that wisdom. So what is the teaching here? You have two mindsets in your one body. And they're always there, always available to you. Remember, we said that if given a choice, we don't actually want to become a monk and leave the world. We want to stay in the world. Remember where this second bird is. This second bird is not in a different tree. He's in the same tree. All the pleasures are there. It's not that he can't see them. It's not that he can't access them. He acknowledges that all these pleasures are there, but he seems to be deriving his joy from something higher, despite the fact that all the pleasures are all around him. He seems to be able to be content in one place. How do we do that?
Have you ever wished that you could truly feel the meaning of Gurbani Kirtan in your own language? For so many people, the beauty of the Guru's wisdom feels distant, lost behind words they don't understand. Guru's voice has been created to help you deeply connect, even without knowing Punjabi or Gurmukhi. For the first time ever, sacred Shabads from Guru Granth Sahib Ji have been translated into modern English worship songs and set to powerful, soul-stirring music. Streaming now on Spotify, YouTube, and all major music platforms. Listen today and experience Gurbani Kirtan like never before. Search online for Guru's voice.
We all want to have a full life. We want to have our families, we want to have our friends, we want to enjoy all the fruits that life has to give us. We like to have some hobbies sometimes, we like to travel to nice places. These are all the things that are stopping us from leaving everything behind and becoming a monk. But there's a lower bird way of living this life, an unconscious way of living this life. And that unconscious way is to get caught up with all these pleasures, to get drawn into the pain and the pleasure of life. But you do have a second option. And the second option is this higher bird who is within the world, but somehow seems to be detached from it. Somehow seems to remain unaffected by everything that's around. And so what the wisdom teaches, the wisdom of the Guru, is that there is a divine fruit that you seem to have forgotten about. You can see all the other fruits, the enjoyment of your body, the enjoyment of good clothes, the enjoyment of tasty foods, but there is another fruit that you can't see. Maybe because you're in the lower parts of the tree. You don't seem to notice that you have access to this other fruit. Remember, this fruit is also not somewhere else. It's in the same tree. But you seem to have forgotten about it. You don't know that it exists. If you knew that it exists, you would maybe be able to go up to that higher level. Remember, the lower tree wants, the lower bird really admires the higher bird. He wants to be like that, but he doesn't know how to be like that. So, you've tasted the fruits of life, but we've rarely tasted the fruit of divine wisdom, the highest fruit of life. You have access to it. You just don't know that it's there. How do we make that shift? The first thing is acknowledging that in this tree of life, there is an option for us to rise above it. In this tree of life, there is an option for us to rise above it. How do we do that? It starts by first and foremost recognizing that in order for me to reach that higher state of life, I don't need to go somewhere else. Remember this, the birds don't have wings. The Guru gives a bit more clarity to this analogy. He says these birds cannot fly somewhere else. There's nowhere else that you can go to find this divine fruit. They don't have any wings. Where are you going to go? Wherever you go, you are always there. Have you ever noticed when you go on holiday? You put so much plans and time and effort into the holiday, but when you get to the holiday, the one thing you can't escape is yourself. You are there. And if you are there, all your frustrations are there, all your ideas are there. The same things that annoyed you back home are annoying you on holiday. Maybe new things that you didn't even have in the home are annoying you on holiday. Wherever you go, there you are. So you've got nowhere else to go. The Guru gives a bit of clarity. If you are looking for peace in your life, don't think you're going to find it somewhere else. So something has to shift within you. It cannot be somewhere else. Your hobbies, your family, your friends, your pleasures, they are not the problem. That's a big one. My relatives are not the problem. My children are not the problem. My employees are not the problem. My parents or my in-laws, they're not the problem. That one stings, I think, a little bit. I'm sure there's those of us sitting here saying, but you don't know my parents. You don't know my kids. You don't know my work colleagues. You don't know my pressures. You don't know my depression. You don't know my suffering. Masters have always taught us the problem isn't out there. Just as the problem isn't out there, the solution isn't out there either. The solution is right here with you as well. So that lower bird, that's us, our unconscious living, constantly being active, constantly thinking that there's something else missing in my life. But every now and then, really what we're trying to do is we're trying to climb that tree. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to get to our own state of inner peace. But we think it's because there's another fruit that I haven't tried yet. There's something else that I haven't bought. There's a certain amount of income that I haven't achieved. There's a certain amount of status that I haven't reached. These days, it's the number of followers on social media. Yeah? There's something else that's missing. When I get that, that's when I'm going to be happy. Yeah? Outside. Looking outside for the solution for an internal problem. Think about that. Looking outside for a solution to an internal problem. So the Guru is giving us some clarity. The Guru is saying, you need to live in the tree, but you need to live detached from this tree. You say, I've heard that one before, but I don't know how to do it. We need to be able to spot where these things are happening in our life. Are there examples that we have seen? And I think a really beautiful example that I've come across. If you ever go to the beach, to the seaside, see if you notice very young children playing in the sand. If you've ever noticed a young child making a sand castle, something very interesting happens. They put a lot of time and effort into making that sand castle. A lot of detail, making sure that it looks great. They're very proud of it. They're showing everyone, look what I made. But when it's time to leave and the parents say, come on, it's time to go home, sometimes very young children take pleasure in destroying the thing that they were creating. They enjoy stamping all over it. What does that mean? That from a very young age, you've known detachment. You've known the skill in your own childhood of playing and then knowing that playtime is over. And actually enjoying the one thing that you spent so long building up, stamping all over it and saying, okay, I'll enjoy even the feeling of the sand on my feet. Enjoy watching the wave, the tide come in, and you just destroy the entire sandcastle that I've spent so long making. We've seen that in children. You have known detachment. But as you get older, as you attach yourself to more things, more responsibilities, we've forgotten that skill that is innate within us. So we don't know in our day-to-day life how to taste this really high fruit. The question is, can you get rid of this if only list? If only this happens in my life. I'm just waiting for one thing. If only this happens. If only that happens. How many if onlys are you going to go through before you realize that that is never going to solve the problem? Yeah? If only I get the promotion. If only I can find a partner in my life. And when you find the partner, if only we have kids. And then when you have the kids, if only the kids grow up so they can leave me alone. It's always changing. When the kids leave you alone, if only I have some grandchildren that I can play with. It never ends. We call it a moving goalpost. Yeah? Like you're playing a game of football, but the goal is always moving and you can never score. This is what we do in our life. So the challenge is going to remain in your life. The question is, can you rise above it? How are you going to align your life with divine wisdom? That's the only question you need to ask yourself. My life is my life. It is what it is. My situation is my situation. I'm not saying that if you're in a difficult situation, don't change it. There are certain times when there are very difficult situations we're in. Of course, we need to make some changes. But overall, your life is your life. Even if you make certain changes which are necessary, you're not going to have a drastically different life. Even if you move countries, even if you start a whole new life, when you turn on the tap and the water isn't coming, it doesn't matter where you are, it's the same problem. When you switch on the light and the bulb is not working, it's the same problem. No matter where you are, problems are going to follow you. How are you going to merge the ordinary life that you live with this higher wisdom? Within the wisdom of the Guru, it says that Shabad is the solution. Remember this higher bird now. Shabad, the message, the highest wisdom is the solution. That's the one thing that that higher bird is attached to. He's just there, enjoying higher wisdom, the fruit of higher wisdom, despite of what's going on around you. So wisdom is the one thing that's missing. This is what the Guru noticed. Even in the analogy from these old Upanishads, the Guru realized that the wisdom is true. There is a lower way of living and a higher way of living. But how do you get to that higher way of living and live your everyday life? The old method was to become a monk. The Guru says, what about everybody else? Do they not deserve happiness? The parents, the business owners, the people with responsibilities, commitments that they can't get out of, do they not deserve peace? There is a way for you as well. And that is to attach yourself to wisdom. Integrate wisdom into your life. Now, what does that mean? What is this higher wisdom? What is this Shabad? I'm always very keen on getting rid of anything that's cryptic. How do we simplify it? How do we make it easy? What the wisdom didn't say was you need to find a holy man. Yeah? You need to attach yourself to one guru, one person. No, it says wisdom should be your guru. The highest wisdom should be your guru. Otherwise, you just create more problems in your life. Some friends are telling you, go follow my guru. Someone says, no, don't follow that one, follow that one. And then you're stuck again. You're in a new whirlpool of problems. Yeah? So don't follow a person. Shabad, the message, the wisdom is the thing that's going to save you, is going to elevate you, is going to make you rise up into that higher word. The wisdom of Gurbani, the message within the sixth scripture, was written for everyone to find easy, simple solutions to these ancient problems. These problems that are not unique to you and me, our grandfathers and great-great-grandfathers and all the way back, they've been experiencing this same problem and they've been trying to solve the same problem. Gurbani, the wisdom of the Guru, is written as an instruction for us. Here you go. Here is the highest wisdom. You don't have to join a monastery. You don't have to leave any of your world behind. Integrate these teachings into your day-to-day life. Because without these teachings, what ends up happening is we get lost in tradition, practices. You say, I belong to this teacher, this guru, this master, this religion, and in this I have to do this, this, and this. That's my commitment to this. And what ends up happening over time and time again, is practice overrides wisdom. As long as you're doing all the practices, you think you're okay. How many of us are following some sort of practice, tradition, but are still struggling with peace?
If you enjoy learning spiritual teachings and you're looking to deepen your understanding, the most effective way is to learn with a group of friends. Right now, you can set up your very own Nanak Naam meetup group from the comfort of your own homes. Gather your friends, family members or colleagues and start your very own wisdom group by visiting livingwithwisdom.org. There, you'll find a range of Nanak Naam courses designed specifically for groups that you can watch together and discuss. A growing number of people have already started their very own wisdom groups, and it's having a huge positive impact on their lives. Find out how easy it is to start your own wisdom group by visiting livingwithwisdom.org.
Peace seems to be the one thing that we're not able to find, because we've convinced ourselves that as well as our home, as well as our family commitments, as well as our work commitments, as well as taking a little bit of time out to go on holiday, I now have to add some new commitments. So we haven't figured out a way for wisdom to be in our lives while we're engaging in work, while we're engaging with our families, while we're at home, while we're on holiday. Wisdom seems to be missing. Practice seems to be something that we do. And if you'll notice, the younger generations don't have time for this. They say, we've seen you doing the practices. You are not at peace, so leave me alone. Isn't that true? They see that we are not at peace. So how can we be hypocrites and encourage others to taste a fruit that is sour to us? The fruit is bitter to us. It's not giving us the juice that we claim that it's giving us. Yeah? If you ever eat a fruit that's very tangy, very bitter, and you try and give it to somebody else, they'll see it on your face straight away. No matter what you say, it's really tasty. You'll say, no, thank you. I was offered a durian cake yesterday. And my friend, he was very kind in saying, please have some. Little did I know. And I put one spoon in my mouth, and my wife is eagerly sitting next to me to see whether I like it. And she took one look at my face and she said, no, thank you. You can see it in the face. It doesn't matter what words you say. It doesn't matter what I said after that. It's clear. This is what your practice is like. People can see if it's really working or if it's not working in your life. How are you going to convince anyone? You've barely convinced yourself that this is working. You might have been indoctrinated with some tradition over your lifetime and you're just doing it. And you've convinced yourself this is good. Maybe if I don't enjoy the juice of doing all these things now, maybe when I die, that's when all the reward is going to come. Does that sound familiar? Maybe when I die, suffer now in the hope that peace comes later on. But the masters don't want you to have peace later on. They're saying, we can show you peace now. You just have to make a mental shift. So what is this higher wisdom? What is the highest wisdom? The highest wisdom is that you and I are missing something in our life. We're all seeking one thing. We're seeking connection. We're seeking fulfillment. We all feel an emptiness in our life, a void. And how we try to fill that void is with everything else around us. And even though we are told as children, money can't buy you happiness, you spend the rest of your life chasing money in the hope that it buys you happiness. But you know somewhere deep, this isn't where it's going to be. So then you convince yourself that I'm just doing the bare minimum. And when I get the bare minimum, then I'll have time for this higher wisdom. The problem is the moving goalpost. The bare minimum always seems to need a little bit more. Just that little bit more. Just the next thing. If only I get the next thing. So we're missing something in our life. And what we're really missing is a sense of connection. That in this life, we somehow feel whole, we feel complete, we feel integrated. That is the only thing that you must be focusing on. If you call yourself religious, if you call yourself spiritual, if you have an interest in mental well-being, mindfulness, whatever it is, whatever label you put on it, what we're seeking is to feel whole. And the wisdom teaches you, you will feel whole when you recognize your connectedness to everything around you. Right now, you feel separate from everything. You feel like life is missing stuff, and you don't know how to connect. So a sense of wholeness, connectedness is what this higher wisdom is teaching you to focus on. You don't need to focus on one particular type of God, one particular prophet, one religion, one set of practices. That's not going to really fill this void inside you. And this is what most religions have become. They've become a way of just creating communities which follow certain traditions. But very few people are looking at feeling complete, feeling whole within their lives. And when you don't know about this highest truth and you just attach yourself to certain traditions, what it does is it convinces you that you're right. My tradition is right. My practice is right. And your children are doing the same thing. Your children are saying, your religious is wrong. I don't believe in anything. I'm an atheist. So my tradition is right. Your religion is wrong. It's just another type of religion. So we're all creating these really strange divisions Oh, you do that? Oh, we don't do that. You eat that? We don't eat that. You, me, separation. We're constantly finding ways to separate and create divisions with each other. And what is the one thing that we need? One thing that we crave is to seek wholeness. Connection is what we're craving, and division is what we're doing. So that is what is the clear indicator that whatever your spiritual practice is not quite working yet. How do we fill that gap? Let's go back to this. It's nice to talk about connectedness and oneness and all these things, but we're that lower bird, right? We don't know how to do it. And if we say that you have two minds, then the lower bird is an untrained mind, unconscious mind. So what I want to introduce you today is, what are these two minds? What are the characteristics of these two minds? What should we call them? How should we know them? So that I know whether I'm in my lower mind or my higher mind. What I've learned from the wisdom of Guru Nanak is the two minds can be called the ego mind and the Guru mind. One mind that thinks from their ego and one that thinks like a Guru. So let's go through this. The ego mind is the one that most of us are in all the time. What does that look like? The number one characteristic of the ego mind is it's never truly satisfied. I can raise my hands up. That's me. Never truly satisfied. One of the worst things that we do is we pretend to other people. How are you? I'm fine. I'm okay. You know you're not okay, but you dare not say it to anybody else. So the ego mind likes to pretend. I'm okay. I'm fine. But inside we know we're never really satisfied. It's easily frustrated. A lot of nodding heads. Easily gets angry. It's only happy when things are going well. Yeah, that's a big one. Things are going well. Oh, I'm really good. Yeah. But as soon as one thing goes wrong, our emotions go down again. So it quickly feels pain. It quickly feels unfulfilled. So that's the number one thing. This ego mind is never truly satisfied. The other thing the ego mind has is lots of desires. Because if you're never satisfied, then you have the next thing that you're chasing, desires. It always feels like it's missing something. It's lacking something. Does that sound like our minds? Our minds are always lacking something. And when it gets something, the ego mind likes to create a sense of ownership. This is mine. These things are mine. I've worked hard for these things. I deserve these things. But I'm not satisfied. I still have a few more things I need to get. So it creates these attachments, these senses of ownership. These things are definitely mine. You can't have these. Ego mind. The ego mind is divisive. It creates divisions. It likes some things and it doesn't like some things. It likes some people and it doesn't like some people. If you had any questions whether you had an ego mind, now's the time to think. Can you say that you are totally neutral to all things and all places and all times and all people? Nope. I can't. I'm in the same place as you. Our mind creates likes and dislikes. If you have likes and dislikes, you're in your ego mind. That's a big one. So simple. If you have things you like, if you have things you don't like, you're the lower bird. You say, oh, that sounds really, that's a tall order. That's a tough one to crack. You're telling me that the higher mind has no likes or dislikes? Well, we'll go over the higher mind. Let's first understand the lower mind. This is how the Guru breaks things down. Nice and simple, very clear. These are the things that you're dealing with. Here's another one. The ego mind likes to control, likes to be in control. That's my problem. One of the things I love to do is before anything, I already have a list planned out. If I'm going somewhere, the list. Where am I going? What time am I landing? What's this? What's that? All of these things, every tiny detail. And see if you try to change my plan. If you try and change something in the plan, all of a sudden, the ego mind comes back. They say in a relationship, there's only two kinds of people. One person who knows exactly what time the plane is coming, what time the plane is going, and the other person that says, where are we going again? I'm the person that knows everything in the travel plans, the itineraries. I've got a list for everything. A list of things I need to buy, things I need to fix. I don't start my Saturday or my Sunday morning without a list of jobs that I need to do. And I'm thinking, I'm very organized. What is my ego mind doing? It likes to be in control. And if things are going well, if I complete things on my list, I'm doing well. If something new comes along, my mind goes all the way back down, back to the beginning again. So our ego mind likes to be in control. And the final one, I won't go too long with this ego mind. It starts to get depressing. This is too many things. You're hitting too many truths about me. Better stop. We'll move on to the higher mind pretty soon. The last thing about the ego mind is it has a me first attitude. Me first. That's self-explanatory. It has a me first attitude towards life.
A recent study has shown that over 75% of Sikhs say that their life feels stressful or overwhelming. These feelings can develop into depression, alcohol abuse, or even suicide. We believe that Guru Nanak's wisdom can help transform people's lives. Nanak Naam relies on your donation to help create more videos and podcasts like this to educate people all over the world on how to use Guru Nanak's teachings to improve their emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Set up a monthly donation today and help change someone's life. Visit nanaknaam.org/donate.
So most of us are in this ego mind. And what's very interesting is we think this is normal. This is normal. This is what society teaches us is normal life. Is there even another option? This is how we live our life. So, most of us are in our ego minds, but we're totally oblivious. Let's go back to the analogy. There's a lower bird, but every now and then he looks at least at the higher bird and he acknowledges there's a higher way. Most of us are not even acknowledging that we are in our lower minds, our ego minds, let alone even striving to be in our higher minds. We're oblivious to it. So it's exactly at these moments in life when we need to invoke the Guru mind, the higher mind. What are the qualities that you will gain if you start to access your Guru mind? Instead of being never truly satisfied, the Guru mind is at peace. At all places, at all times, in all situations. Your Guru mind, your higher mind, knows how to do this. In creation and destruction, in gain and in loss, in pain and in pleasure, the Guru mind knows how to be totally peaceful, still. You have this. It isn't peaceful because life is perfect. It isn't peaceful because life is perfect. But because it sees life as perfect, it is peaceful. You all have access to this. The ego mind has desires. The Guru mind does not require anything. It's desireless. It's in harmony with life. The ego mind has a sense of ownership. The Guru mind realizes that life is not about owning. Life is about letting go. The ego mind wants to own more. The Guru mind says, whatever I have, eventually I have to start letting go. So it doesn't have that craving. It doesn't have that real sense of, I need to grip hold of things in life. It knows nothing is going to last. This too shall pass. Instead of creating divisions, the Guru mind creates connections. It doesn't see you as separate from me. It doesn't see me as better than you, higher than you. It doesn't see things that it likes and it dislikes. It likes everything equally. In fact, it realizes that we're connected to everything. All of life we're connected to. And when you feel a sense of connection to everything, you don't desire so much. Because you don't think that I need to own that. That object needs to be in my house in order for me to feel satisfied. The object exists. That's nice. You enjoy the fact that life exists, but you don't need to own every single thing. Now, we're not saying that you're not going to have your basic necessities. Remember, we're not trying to tell you to leave your life and go become a monk, sitting in a cave, meditating under a tree, living in an ashram. That's not what we want. But we don't have this sense of ownership all the time. Instead of control, the Guru mind understands how to surrender. It knows that life is not always going to go my way. I can't control everything. If I want to be peaceful, I have to know how to let go and surrender to life. Not hold on to all of these things all the time. It doesn't see me as the controller of life. It doesn't see me as the driver of life. It said, there's a bigger game going on here. Life is doing what life is doing. And the final thing, instead of a me first attitude, it has a serving attitude, an attitude towards others, an attitude of compassion rather than obsession with the self. Sound good? How do we get there? No point just listing these things out, right? Lower mind, higher mind, all these things. Give me some real final answer. How do we do it? What is the takeaway? First and foremost, recognize that in the tree of life, there's more than one way to live. First, know that. The first step is you have to know where you're going. Recognize that you always have an option. That the tree of life is going to have sweetness and bitterness. You don't have to run away from one and run towards the other. Life has both. The question is not what life gives you, but which bird do you choose to be? No matter what life gives you, which bird are you going to choose to be? Because true spirituality is not escaping from life. You don't have to go anywhere. I love that within the Guru's interpretation of this analogy, they included the fact that the birds have no wings. You don't have to go anywhere. Where can you go? The problem's in here. Where are you going to go? So true spirituality is not escaping from life. It's learning how to live life fully and yet remain connected. remain peaceful, regardless of all the ups and downs of life. Let's talk about something real, folks. Life is going to go up, and there are some real downs in life. I don't want to paint this pretty picture for you, that you walk away thinking, yeah, I've got it. You're not going to fly away from this tree of life. Life is going to have its ups and its downs. You are going to be that lower bird at some points where you're enjoying the pleasures, but every now and then something stings you, something pricks you. You bump into something. Remember that higher bird is also on that tree. He's surrounded by the same ups and downs of life. He's just learned how to be still. There are going to be ups and downs in life. How are you going to remain connected? Shabad seems to be the fruit that satisfies this higher bird. You know, we have our if only list. If only I get this, if only I get that. That's the lower mind. Never fully satisfied and always craving something more. The higher bird has learned to only crave wisdom. Wisdom, access to wisdom, access to these highest teachings is your number one fruit that's going to help you to rise above. It's not your practices. It's not your religious or spiritual outfits. It's not your yogas. It's not your asanas. It's not your mantras even. And it's certainly not your manifestations. Trying to manifest something new in your life. I want to manifest this or the next thing or the next thing. That's just desires wrapped up in airy-fairy language. Be honest with yourself if you believe in manifestation and law of attraction. What do you want to attract? If there's one thing that you're going to attract, learn to attract peace. Learn to manifest peace rather than manifesting the next thing. I'm surprised the number of times that this question is coming up again and again and again. How do we manifest? How do we gain more? Have you not learnt? Gaining is the problem. Your desires is the problem. Manifest being desireless. Work that one out. So, how are you going to do that? Higher wisdom. I can't stress this point enough. Accessing this wisdom day in, day out. That is your one way to escape the rat race of life. To just learn constantly. How do I be in this? Whatever your mantras are, whatever your practices, carry on. Make sure you are attaching yourself to the wisdom that was always taught with these practices. Yoga was never taught as some movements. It was always taught as a lifestyle attached to wisdom. There was always a wisdom attached to it. Mantras were never just taught. There was explanations behind it. We seem to be happy doing the external stuff, but we don't want to take the internal wisdom. And that's why we have this mental health crisis. And that's why we're having an awakening. This mental health crisis is an awakening that something's not working. We need access to the wisdom, not just new obsessions wrapped up in spiritual language. Have you figured out that your desires is the problem? How many of your manifestations coaches are telling you, you wanting stuff is the problem? They just tell you, no, if you want stuff, you're doing it in the wrong way. In fact, they're encouraging you, want more, build the life, build the perfect life. Get this, get that. All you're doing is practicing wanting more. And the bird that's sitting on the top says, I'm not going to play that game. I've played that game. I realize that's not the way to this higher wisdom, to this peace, to this stillness. So what should we practice with this higher wisdom? One of the things I always say is practice which bird you're going to be in the smallest moments. Even in the simplest things, notice, watch yourself. In the smallest moments, which bird do I choose to be? The lower bird or the higher bird? They're both there. They're both available to you. The interesting thing is that you've always chosen the lower bird. When a situation happens, you just immediately react as the lower bird, the one that gets frustrated, the one that gets overexcited. That's your practice. You're going to now have to practice being the higher bird. You're going to now have to ask yourself this question in small moments, little moments of disappointment, little moments of frustration. Oh, here's an opportunity. Am I going to choose to react like the lower bird or respond like the higher bird? Am I going to react in an unconscious way? Am I going to be abrupt? Am I going to be reactive? Am I going to get quickly disappointed? Am I going to be driven by my ego mind? Or am I going to be driven by this guru mind, this higher mind, this wisdom mind? Is my response going to be considered? Is it going to be patient? Is it going to be wisdom driven? The easiest way for you to know how to do this is start small. With tiny little things, notice how quickly you get frustrated. Notice how quickly you get overexcited when a friend that you know walks into the room. Oh, I like this person. And then when somebody else walks into this room, oh, I don't like that person. Notice, watch. The person isn't the problem. It's your constant use of this lower mind. That's the problem. Every moment then becomes an invitation for you. Isn't that wonderful? Every moment is an opportunity for you to practice your spiritual teachings. Every moment is an invitation, whether you're going to be the restless bird or the wise bird. So this is where the choice is now in your hands. Which one are you going to choose? You don't need to let go and renounce the world. You don't even need to let go of all your pleasures and your enjoyments. All the nice flavors and the tastes of the world, they're still there. Can you be okay when they're there and when they're not there? This is what I love about the Guru's wisdom. Really breaks it down into something tangible, something manageable. So I can do that. Yeah? Otherwise, people introduce spiritual concepts and ideas and it looks very big. I can do that. Every moment. Which bird do I want to be? So, the lower bird is always going to be there. That option is already there. We know how to do that one. That lower bird is always going to be there, but the higher bird is also there. That's the question for you. You just need to remember. Connectedness. There's a fruit of oneness. There's a fruit of contentment. It's there as well. Have I learned how to access that fruit? All of these things are in your tree. The question is which bird do you choose to be?